They found one dying human beneath the ice. Then an entire alien army came for him, but they didn't know. He had already called Earth. The aliens thought he was their prisoner. They were wrong. He was bait. And when Earth discovered who had captured him, the sky filled with humanity.
The war had already destroyed 3 planets. The Dravari Empire was advancing across the outer worlds, crushing every civilization that refused to surrender. On the frozen planet Nerath, the last defenders were preparing for their final battle. Commander Vale knew they had less than 6 hours. Their shields were failing. Their weapons were almost empty. And then one of their scouts discovered something buried beneath the ice, a metal object. At first, they thought it was an enemy weapon. Then they opened it. Inside was a human, a man, alive. Barely. He wore black armor unlike anything the Narathi had ever seen. There was a strange silver symbol on his chest. Vile ordered his soldiers to remove the armor. But the moment they touched it, the armor activated. A red warning appeared. Biological life form critical. The human suddenly opened his eyes. Every soldier raised a weapon. The human looked around the room. He was confused. Weak! Blood covered his face. Then he whispered 3 words. Where is Earth? Vile stepped closer. Earth is thousands of light years from here. The human closed his eyes. Then he struggled to breathe. They haven't found me yet. Vile didn't understand. Who? The human looked directly at him and whispered, The people hunting me. Outside, the sky suddenly shook. The Dravari fleet had arrived. And they were not looking for the planet. They were looking for the human. The Narathi had expected the Dravari to attack their capital. Instead, thousands of enemy ships surrounded the mountain where the human had been discovered. Vile stared at the tactical display. Why are they ignoring the city? His intelligence officer answered, They aren't here for us. Vile looked toward the chamber. They came for him. Inside the medical room, the human was finally strong enough to stand. His name was Commander Adrian Cross. He claimed he was a reconnaissance officer from Earth. But Vile didn't believe him. No ordinary scout could make an entire alien fleet cross half the galaxy. Then the Dravari commander transmitted a message. Surrender the human. Vile answered. Why? The Dravari commander remained silent for several seconds. Then he said, Because that man is responsible for the destruction of 7 Dravari fleets. Vile turned toward Adrian. Adrian simply smiled. That's not exactly how I'd describe it. Vile stared at him. What did you do? Adrian looked at the battlefield map. I survived. Then the first Dravari bombardment began. The mountain shook. The Narathi soldiers ran toward their defensive positions. Vile looked at Adrian. You brought this war to us. Adrian's expression became serious. No. He pointed toward the sky. They followed me. The first attack lasted 20 minutes. The Narathi defense line collapsed. Dravari soldiers entered the mountain. Vile ordered Adrian to stay inside. But Adrian refused. He took a damaged Narathi weapon. Vile stopped him. You don't even know how to use that. Adrian looked at the weapon. Give me 10 seconds. He turned it over. Studied the energy chamber. Changed 2 settings. Then fired. The weapon became 3 times more powerful. Vile stared. How? Adrian didn't answer. Instead, he looked at the mountain's old communication tower. How old is that? 400 years. Then your ancestors built it before the Dravari arrived? Vile nodded. Adrian smiled. Good. They reached the tower. Adrian removed a small device from his armor. Vile finally noticed it. What is that? A dead man transmitter. Vile's expression changed. Dead man? Adrian looked toward the enemy fleet. If my heartbeat stops? He activated the device. Earth gets my location. Vile froze. Earth knows where you are? Adrian shook his head. Not yet. He looked at the device. But they will. A strange signal began traveling through the tower. For the first time, Vile understood. The human hadn't been trying to escape. He had been waiting. Waiting for the enemy to reveal themselves. Because Adrian wasn't the victim. He was the bait. Vile demanded answers. Who are you really? Adrian looked at him. I'm a human. That's not enough. Adrian remained silent. Then he finally spoke. Earth doesn't send soldiers anymore. Vale frowned. Then why are you here? Because I'm not here to fight. He pointed toward the Dravari fleet. I'm here to identify them. Vile suddenly understood. Adrian had deliberately allowed himself to be captured. He had deliberately crashed. He had deliberately hidden beneath the ice. Everything had been planned. The Dravari had followed him exactly where he wanted them. Vile whispered, "You used our planet as a trap." Adrian shook his head. No. He looked at the Narathi soldiers. "I used myself." Then the Dravari commander transmitted again. "Human, you have nowhere left to run." Adrian smiled. "That's where you're wrong." The commander laughed. "You are alone." Adrian looked toward Vael, then toward the sky. No. He touched his communicator. "I've never been alone." The device transmitted one final signal, and somewhere beyond the galaxy, something answered. Far beyond Nerath, a silent military station orbited Earth. For 80 years, it had never received an emergency signal. Then every alarm activated simultaneously. A young officer looked at the main screen. "Commander." "What?" "We have a Terran deadman signal." The room became silent. "Location." The officer entered the coordinates. His face turned pale. "Nerath." The commander stared at the screen. "That's Dravari territory." "Yes." "How long has the signal been active?" 36 seconds. The commander immediately understood. Someone had deliberately triggered it. He opened the highest military channel. "Wake the fleet." Across the solar system, enormous shipyards came alive. Hidden military stations opened. Millions of lights appeared in orbit. One by one, human warships powered their engines. The officer looked at the commander. "How many ships should we send?" The commander didn't answer immediately. Then he said, "All of them." The officer hesitated. "All?" The commander looked at Adrian's signal. "He's alive." Pause. "That means someone is standing between him and home." The Dravari began their final attack. Their fleet moved toward the mountain. Vile looked at Adrian. "Your rescue is coming?" Adrian looked at the sky. "I don't know." The first enemy battleship opened fire. Then another. Then hundreds. The Narathi shields began collapsing. Vile shouted, "Everyone to the eastern wall." Adrian suddenly stopped. He was looking upward. "What?" Vile followed his eyes. At first there was nothing. Then one star disappeared. Then another. Then thousands. The entire sky began changing. Vile's tactical system started screaming. "Unknown fleet detected." The Dravari commander received the same warning. "How many?" His sensor officer couldn't answer. "Commander, how many?" The officer whispered, "We don't know." Then the first human battleship emerged from hyperspace. Then 10, then 100, then thousands. The Dravari fleet suddenly looked microscopic. Adrian watched silently. Vile looked at him. "How many did you call?" Adrian smiled. "I didn't." He looked toward the endless human armada. Earth decided. The Dravari commander opened communication. "You came for one soldier?" The human admiral answered, "No." The commander smiled. "Then why?" The admiral replied, "You attacked the world protecting him." The Dravari commander laughed. "You would risk an entire fleet for aliens?" The admiral's voice became cold. "We don't abandon those who stand beside us." The Dravari fleet opened fire. Millions of weapons crossed the sky. The human fleet didn't retreat. Its shields activated. The entire battlefield turned blue. The attack vanished. Then humanity responded. But they didn't destroy the Dravari ships. Instead, they disabled them, engine by engine, weapon by weapon, ship by ship. The Dravari commander watched his entire fleet become powerless. He finally understood the terrifying difference. Humanity didn't come to win a battle. Humanity came to end the war. The Dravari commander surrendered. But the human admiral didn't attack. Instead, he transmitted one sentence. "Leave Nerath." The Dravari commander asked, "And the human?" The admiral answered, "He goes home." The Dravari looked toward the planet. Adrian was standing beside Vael. The commander finally understood. He had spent months hunting one human. He had never realized that the human was protected by something far more dangerous than weapons. Loyalty. The Dravari fleet withdrew. Silence returned to Nerath. Vael looked at Adrian. "Your people crossed half the galaxy for you." Adrian smiled. "No." He looked at the Narathi. "They crossed it for you." Vial shook his head. We barely knew you. Adrian answered. That's enough. Years later, Nerath was no longer a battlefield. It became a symbol. A monument was built on the mountain where Adrian had been discovered. It showed two figures, a human soldier and a Nerathi commander standing beside him. Vial was there when Adrian returned. You changed our history, Vial said. Adrian smiled. No. He looked at the monument. You changed mine. Vial looked confused. Adrian continued. When I crashed here, I thought I was alone. He looked toward the sky. I was wrong. Thousands of human ships appeared above the planet. Not for war, for peace. The Nerathi people gathered beneath them. Vial finally understood what humanity had become to the galaxy. Not the strongest species, not the oldest, not the most advanced. Something more dangerous. A civilization that remembered kindness. A civilization that answered loyalty with loyalty. A civilization that could cross galaxies. For someone who had once been a stranger. Vial looked at Adrian. Will humans always come when someone calls? Adrian smiled. No. He turned toward the stars. Only when someone deserves an answer. The camera rises above the planet. The human fleet fills the sky. And somewhere in the darkness, another civilization watches, learning the lesson the Dravari learned too late. Never mistake one human for humanity.